right, fans, your old pal Uncle Ghoulie back again to welcome you to another crypt-kicking monster mash here on Horror Incorporated. And this week, it's another example of the famed Roger Corman School of Filmmaking on the Fly. In the grand tradition of The Little Shop of Horrors, it's the 1961 low-budget quickie, Creature from the Haunted Sea. And like Little Shop of Horrors and Corman's earlier horror-comedy hybrid, Bucket of Blood, this film was written by Charles Griffith, who injected his trademark zany dialogue, loopy plotting, and bizarre characters into the script. So what do you say we go back to the beach with Corman and Company? Yeah, that's a good idea.
So then, sir, are we in for an unusual treat this week, with a film that's actually entertaining, such as The Little Shop of Horrors or A Bucket of Blood?
Well, let's not go overboard now, Carbuncle. I mean, Little Shop of Horrors and Bucket of Blood are the exceptions amongst the films of Roger Corman, not the rule.
Of course, sir.
And while Creature from the Haunted Sea is very entertaining in its own sort of loopy, giddy way, it never quite scales the same heights as Bucket of Blood or Little Shop of Horrors, mainly due to the fact that Roger Corman would film 2 or 3 extra movies with leftover sets, cast, scripts, you name it.
Ah, yes. Never one to let a good opportunity pass him by, was he, sir?
Well, an opportunity, Carbuncle, good, bad, or ugly.
Yes, and where does this week's feature fall into that spectrum, sir?
Pretty much all of the above.
Yes, of course. Nothing but the best of what the fringes of Hollywood has to offer for us here at Horror Incorporated, sir.
That's right. I couldn't have put it better myself, Carbuncle.
Of course not, sir.
Hi there, Uncle Ghoulie.
Oh, it isn't my favorite niece 13 up from the vault with this week's movie. And you know it is.
Ah, yes. As inevitable as death and taxes, and equally as dreaded.
That's right. Oh, yes, another Roger Corman masterpiece, chock full of bad acting and loopy dialogue, seedy production values, and the worst monster you'll ever want to see. A bad Humphrey Bogart impression. It's a veritable smorgasbord of schlocky filmmaking.
The cheap, crummy monster costume is worth it alone.
That's right. Gordon, old man. What do you say we hop on up to the projection booth and spool this baby up, huh? All right, here we go. This is a good one.
You know, I am this close to turning you in for the reward money.
I know, but I figure either you're too lazy or too cowardly to actually go through with it.
Why, you little... I ought to... Oh, never mind. It's just not worth it.
That's what I thought.
Yes, ladies, very nice. Thank you for training them. Just so you can't say I didn't warn you, this week's feature is indeed the 1961 Roger Corman home movie, Creature from the Haunted Sea, featuring Anthony Carbone, Betsy Jones Morland, Robert Bean. Yes, Bean. And future Academy Award-winning screenwriter Robert Towne, in an early acting role here billed as someone called Edward Wayne. Don't say I didn't warn you. Yes, very nice.
Okay, I know this movie was supposed to be funny, unlike most of the movies we tend to show here, which are funny without trying. But I don't know if the deliberate comedy is as funny as the unintentional comedy created by the movie's cheapness, its rushed production, or the general air of laziness that engulfs the whole thing.
Yes, well, it is true, 13, my dear. You have to admit that in addition to its cheapness, its rushed production, and air of hurried laziness that engulfs the whole thing, the actors and indeed the filmmakers appear to be having a good time, essentially goofing around making a last-minute movie on location in Puerto Rico.
If I may, sir, it is that very air of silliness on the part of everyone involved, and the wild spoofing of a number of cliched movie conventions that make Creature from the Haunted Sea overcome its many considerable shortcomings to make it a fairly entertaining motion picture experience in spite of itself.
And fans of the previous Roger Corman films, The Bucket of Blood and Little Shop of Horrors, might notice something similar about the score to Creature from the Haunted Sea. Why? Because it's the same.
It is?
Say it isn't so, sir.
Now, don't get excited, you two. Roger Corman was never one to let anything go to waste, least of all a good score. Similarly, the actor playing Happy Jack Monahan was a high school student who managed to talk his way along on the trip to Puerto Rico as a boom man.
When the role Charles Griffith wrote for Corman proved to be too taxing, Corman gave it to this kid. And then the part was pared down to accommodate the actor's somewhat limited acting skills.
Yes, the ever-popular Robert Bean.
You know, Gordon, I've been doing some thinking. It's been at least a week since we did something foolhardy, ill-advised, and dangerous, and, well, I think it's high time that we did something, well, foolhardy, ill-advised, and dangerous. Question is what? I kind of hate to say it, but, I mean, I'm all tapped out for ideas. You know, it's no use asking Carbuncle because everyone knows he's no fun at all, and, well, 13's ideas usually center around setting something large on fire, and I can't speak for you or anyone else, but if you've seen one deliberately set fire, you've pretty much seen them all. Which leads us to you. So do you have any ideas that are foolhardy, dangerous, and ill-advised?
Well, I'll see you guys later.
Ash, you know, it sure is nice to see the youth of today taking an interest in things. However, do not try this at home. Was that good enough? So how about it, Gordon? Any ideas? Well, that's a good idea, but, you know, I question whether we could actually get Carbuncle to wear a Bo Peep costume. Anything else? Ah, that's great, but, well, the only problem is that at this late hour, I don't know where we'd get a hold of all those live chickens. Anything else? By Jove, Gordon, that's a great idea. You've done it again. And while it may not be too foolhardy or dangerous, it certainly is ill-advised. Let's go to the beach. It's cold, it's dark, it's raining out. Perfect idea. Brilliant.
Well, ladies and, gentlemen, I'm afraid it's true. We here at Horror Incorporated are indeed going to be making a trek out to the beach, where I inevitably will be buried up to my head in sand and left there, or be swept out to sea, or eaten by sharks, or some equally unpleasant fate. It could be worse, I suppose. I could stay here and watch this week's movie.
Ah, Carbuncle, there you are. I've been looking everywhere for you.
Well, I've been here all day, sir. Where, may I ask, have you been looking for me?
Well, everywhere. You know, the usual places. The pawn shop, the massage parlor, the strip clubs, the gambling casinos, the whorehouse. Yeah, the usual places.
Yes. Funny you weren't able to find me, sir.
Well, I thought so, too. Is 13 back yet? We can't go to the beach without her.
And why, pray tell, is that, sir? As I think it would be a much more enjoyable trip if we were to make it without her. Or without Master Gordon. Or without me, sir. In fact, I think that you would have a much more fun time if you were to make it without us.
No. You have to look at this from my point of view.
Perish the thought.
No, look at it this way, Carbuncle. You know, going to the beach, you know, water, swimming, bathing suits.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are indeed a class act, sir.
And besides, I mean, Gordon's all ready to go to the beach. Look.
Ugh.